gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
It is time, as it always is, on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock to talk to our guy 24KG and talk all things wrestling. My friend, how are you? Hope you are doing well. Real quick, actually, before we get going, for those of you who don't know, our guy KG here has been dealing with some family situations, and we just want to give our condolences to you and your family. Obviously, unfortunately, losing your grandmother is never a good thing or easy to deal with. So, my friend, just from all of us here, we hope you are doing well, and we hope the family is doing well as well.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. We are in good spirits. We're blessed. My grandmother lived to be 102 in her right mind. It was a beautiful homegoing and send-off. I appreciate all the love. I'm just surprised we didn't get because my grandma's a grand champ of the family. I'm surprised we didn't get an appearance from Brock Lesnar. He's always taking titles from somebody, so I appreciate Brock staying out of family business. But we've got a couple Brock sightings in WWE we need to talk about, so Let's get to it, gentlemen.
Well, okay, let's talk about what we saw on Friday, because the three of us were texting during this, and we talked about this at length last week. Who was going to walk away with the women's title? Tiffy ends up retaining, beating both Jade Cargill, who walks away with a boxer-size cut on her eyebrow.
Nasty work.
And another just incredible botch from Nia Jax, somebody who is a constant professional and a constant veteran in the game, and yet somehow continues to have these bad days.
This was, I'd say, a little bit beyond the realm of botchisms. This was a complete collapse at the end of a match on live television, folks.
In the main event.
The main event of that.
Let's take it back to a couple weeks prior. We haven't seen Nia Jax really on mainstream television for a reason that Chris pointed out. She got the Mark Henry, Braun Strowman treatment. Let's send you back to developmental. Well, third brand, if you still want to call it developmental, NXT.
Yeah, it's really not developmental anymore.
Get your re-fundamentals kind of, recertified. You're kind of getting that stigma again that you're not a safe worker, which we've seen a couple years prior when she punched Becky Lynch and sent her to the soaring heights of notoriety that we know as now. Well, lightning doesn't strike twice in this case. It's just Nia Jax. If you look back at the replay, you can either blame it on a trip, a push, an untimed shove into the steel steps, depending on your opinion, viewpoint, or angle of how you've seen the replay. You could say it was Jade's fault. She's still relatively green. But then again, when you have somebody with the experience of Nia Jax that has this, dark cloud over her head of being an unsafe worker, you should kind of take a little bit more care of your opponent just in case they get a little butterfingers or stutter step and she goes head first into the steel steps. I don't think a boxer-sized gash is an accurate description enough. It looked like, I'd have to say, a car accident. It's one of those things they show you, red asphalt and driver's ed, what not to do. And it was rather disturbing. The fact that they let it play out for as long as they did also surprised me. And it threw off an entire sequence towards the end of the match. Now, credit to Jay for picking her up, giving her that slam, getting into the camera, feeding into it. Those things that happen on the spur of the moment do make great television. But when you can see someone's skull meet, it's not how it looks in the movies, folks. That's real flesh and blood getting ripped open on television, which WWE is not pro-color. Color meaning blood, live on TV, unless it's a part of a match, unless it's by design. When these things happen, panic ensues. As you can see, when you go back to the replay, medical staff came down there. We had the referee incident where, and this is where I got to give credit to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon would say, hey, if you miss your cue, 1, 2, 3, the match is over with. Vince McMahon was with that. And everybody's at fault. Who's at fault is fired. But we're in a different time. And that's about the only praise I'm going to give Vince McMahon outside of his professionalism. But I'm going to just say this. Maybe that spot was supposed to be Jade coming back in and grabbing the referee and yanking her leg.
Right.
We couldn't do that. Couldn't see that. wouldn't communicate with that when you're being attended to by medical on the side for a 4-inch gash that turns your eyebrow into a piece of bacon. That's all I got to say about it. Now, credit to Tiffy for trying to hold it together. You know, we can clearly see, Nia Jax asking the referee, oh, snap, I was supposed to kick out. Maybe she, got a little dazed, confused, mixed up, maybe worried about her opponent on the outside. A multitude of things could have factored into this collapse of a match. We got the finish, and here we are, folks.
Look, but
with our hands up, like, I don't know what happened.
I know I brought this up to you over the weekend. We talked about it in the car, but personally, I think that some people do need to be fired for this. I don't think it's the wrestlers, the referee, though. Personally, if I'm your TV director,
woo! Let's talk about it.
Because this is now multiple times I have seen WWE television keep a camera close up on a mess up like this and not tried to change the angle. If you had changed the angle with a cutaway there, instead of us seeing right dead center of Nia saying, oh, I was supposed to kick out here, and then 10 seconds later going, ugh, like, that could have been fixed. That could have been at least bandaged if the director did his job correctly and moved to a different camera angle.
Well, this was probably the worst I've seen in a long time.
I agree.
Well, I would have to agree also. And the fact that they're not taking advantage of the 7 to 10 second delay broadcast is
which we've seen in the past.
Right,
I mean, just one that got brought up that I saw not too long ago was the match between Rey Mysterio and Undertaker. When Rey jumps onto Taker, he's supposed to do essentially just a sit down on his chest, goes too high, hits him in the head, gives him a concussion. And then that led to Taker kind of messing up what was supposed to be the ending, which was catching Ray and putting him in the tombstone. They used that 7 to 10 second delay to get rid of the part where Taker messed up. Why could you not do that here?
I was about to ask the exact same thing. My only thing is they need to have a production meeting, maybe get in with the camera crew and put some people's feet to the fire on this, because there have been some cringe angles lately, and we're not going to go ahead and just pick this whole thing apart. But over the last 3 months, I can consecutively say that the lackluster of WWE's camera work, which they're known for, has been apparent. And you're seeing it more so with complaints from sponsorships, parental groups. TKO is a internationally traded company now. This isn't owned by one guy anymore that can just silence board members. You have people that have big stakes involved in this, and those stakes need a little bit more sauce on them, so to speak. So with ESPN calling them out as a partner in their PLE program is another point that we could make on them expecting more or just a better product.
Absolutely. But again, I mean, the only person we could really name out would be Stu, and that's not necessarily fair because Stu's just the only cameraman that everybody knows his name thanks to John Cena. But
Poor Stu.
I just was watching the show on Friday, and I agree with you. There have been multiple instances where I'm watching matches, and I'm like, dude, you could have cut to a better angle. Like, that didn't exactly look great. And all I'm seeing across the internet right now is how displeased fans are with the product from the main roster. NXT is doing fantastic. TNA is doing fantastic. I mean, AEW is even doing fantastically on the opposite side of the spectrum. But we get these faults from Raw and SmackDown, and I'm going to throw this out there just to see how you feel about this, my friend, and also you, Spark, but I feel like this happens every single year right before Crown Jewel. I feel like we get this sense of lull because we have to stop literally every story that you want or was going. You have to stop all of them to appeal to the Crown Jewel PLE and the Saudi Arabian people who want specific matches at that PLE.
Well, I would have to say it definitely does throw off your natural progression of storylines, but also those three brands that you just mentioned, as much as they are alike, they're very different in the aspect that SmackDown and Raw are covered more heavily through social media than any of those three. And much like that, there tend to be spoilers nonstop, theories nonstop. You could also compare it to movies. We see a movie trailer now, and it's like we watch the whole movie pretty much. Now producers have to throw in Easter eggs that aren't in the film that are going to throw off people and whatnot. And since it's being so heavily covered, rumors going to run rampant. Analyzation is going to be just spilling over everywhere that you can see in anything that you can click, read about it, or just get some type of valid information from. It's going to be a lot of misconstruement about it. But one thing for certain, when you throw something to the left and you're going right, people are going to notice. And that's what happens every year. You are correct. Around this time, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, whether it's in Paris, whether it's in Perth, Australia, it tends to deviate unless, and this is the only time I'll say this, where a storyline can bring in everything in a curvature, and that's Seth and Cody right now because of the history that they have, because of what's being built around it. You know, a lot of people are coming down on Triple H's later half of Creative in 2025 for saying, oh, it's on autopilot, it's this and that and whatnot. It's not living up to the expectation of, well, hey, some things just have to simmer a little longer. Now, I'm not saying everything is good coming out of there. A lot of things coming out of there has been crap, straight wet crap. Literally, you ever stepped in wet crap on your lawn? It's difficult. It's disgusting. You don't even want to see it. And that's how some of these matches have been playing out. But nonetheless, when things are so heavily covered, you can't, hey, Sparky, you feel me? When things are so heavily covered like this, you can't help but to look at it and go, something doesn't look right. And we're seeing a lot of it doesn't look right come from everybody in every direction.
Well, I will say the same thing I told Burdick when I came in this morning. This is the probably 2 or 3 weeks in a row where I was not happy with whether it was SmackDown or really especially Raw. And I don't know, maybe you guys would know more, but maybe it is because it's a rushed PLE and it kind of screws up all the stories or the botched matches, or you know, I almost feel like they might have just bit in too much into the media when it comes to, you know, it was Netflix, now it's ESPN, and now they have so much to build up on that they aren't almost, they looks like they're not ready.
It's possible.
A little bit. You know, this whole thing, we could say started here, there, but we're right here in the present at this point. And we can really say, like how you just pointed out, the lack thereof. There has been more so of that in this year than I've ever seen in WWE with just jump or cut to storylines or dropping a storyline in the middle of. You know, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, whatever the fact. Jacob Fatu, U.S. title. Shinsuke Nakamura, who knows? Question mark. All these things from the undercard, from the main to the mid card. Literally, there has been blotches and spots in the build to certain matches with the rush of PLEs. When you put too many of those out there, string them together, what are you going to do? You know, like you can't fit everybody, but you can, but you're stuck on this 5-match, staging.
But
where
you could do that, though. That's my thing.
You could add more people in there, but they don't.
You could absolutely do that.
I don't know what this formula has got them thinking of. They're giving us a product that people are actually happy with, because if you look online and see what people thought about paying $30 for ESPN just for that match at WrestlePalooza, you're gravely mistaken.
No, absolutely. But here's my thought process, though, is you can kind of combat that entire, like, we keep seeing the same people at PLEs. I know you want to see, Roman and Seth and Cody at every PLE, but what I think the WWE needs to do, especially since we're getting these things so closely back to back to back, why not go back to the old ways of doing it where you pretty much scheduled 2 PLEs at a time, where you had 2 separate cards being built at the same time.
Cody in one and the other one.
Exactly. The other one has Roman. And you get, Backlash will have this match while, the next one will have this one. And you can set it up perfectly for all of the roster to get in on this instead of a select few 15 guys.
And that would probably give them an option of expanding the roster.
Right. But the issue that I see that they keep running into, and just to tighten myself up, I realize that Crown Jewel is not in Saudi Arabia this year, but it doesn't matter. Crown Jewel will forever be the Saudis' baby. That is their PLE. You can move it to whatever city you want. It's just like Clash at the Castle. We could sit there and say Clash in Paris happened, sure, But Clash at the Castle will always be Scotland's PLE. Because when you
Most
hear
definitely.
Clash, you think Clash at the Castle. You think them going to Scotland, being in this entire castle-like feature. So it's like, I know they still have a hand in who gets to go and who's, having a match and who's not. And again, I just think it's to a point now where it's like, are we really going to stop everything creatively that you're going to have with all of these champions just to have a one-on-one one-off between Steph and Tiffy and Cody and Seth? Cody and Seth at least have already a built-in story that you can run with. Because Seth being the guy once Cody left along with CM Punk, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing as the CM Punk story. But
Well,
what are we going to get out of
definitely-
Tiffy and Stephanie?
I definitely agree with you both. You both have valid points. And to answer what you just stated earlier, this all went away with 2 PLEs at the same time as soon as they dissolved the brand exclusivity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just things that were exclusive to this show and SmackDown, exclusive to Monday Night Raw, were dissolved as soon as these mergers became prominent and drafts, and then you kind of did away with the rules of the draft and people started show jumping. It kind of just jumbled itself into what it is now.
Right.
And you see weak builds that lead on to jump cut storylines that never get picked back up, a confusion amongst the, I'd have to say, not so casual audience watcher, member or show watcher versus hardcore fans or regular fans that are like, okay, I'm lost. And that's where you get a lot of venting and frustration on the internet with people that are just not happy with the product. We pro Tiffy over here, but even her run has not lived up to what it could be or still can be.
To wrestle.
She's beat them all. They've run them all through there, and they've repeated it. So they've watched and repeated her storylines and feuds so many times that they need to do my suggestion. Remember when they did the champion exchange? We basically just exchanged this brand's champion with this brand's champion, and you guys swap titles. Something like that needs to happen, because I'm tired of seeing Tiffy versus Nia for the umpteenth time.
Is that on them, or is that really just on how they didn't have a backstory to throw, and they let her run through everybody, and now it's kind of just boring with what they've kind of fed us?
But see, that's the thing.
That's that lack of creative right
Exactly.
there.
She hasn't run through anybody, though. The only matches
same
she's
people.
really had, it's Nia and Jade.
Exactly.
And I mean, and I grant you that is all that they have right now, but it's like, you could easily move some of these superstars from Raw over to SmackDown.
Exactly.
I mean, you were just talking about
I'm
it.
feeling the same way with Damian Priest.
100%.
Yeah.
Damian being on SmackDown is pointless at this point. What are we even doing? He was a champion just a year ago, and
Barely.
you've really given him the back seat. You're like, he's no longer the guy you want in the front. Like, I don't get it. You were all talking about him as if he was a young Undertaker, and now we're barely getting him in matches against Aleister Black
Yeah.
for no reason either. Like, they just keep this thing going.
That whole
for no
story was
point.
a snore fest.
Absolutely.
And I'll go back to Raw. I mean, even
Which it shouldn't have been. On paper, it looked great. But
Yeah.
like you said, when you seen it, it was like, what are they doing?
yeah, there was no real story. But going into what we saw last night, I mean, obviously the Raw or the Dom and Rusev match was probably the highlight. I mean, the Asuka deal I thought was awesome.
Of course.
I
I love
set
the
it up.
centipede face paint.
Oh my gosh, that
nice.
was so awesome. But
Asuka speaking in Japanese with the subtitles is so villainous. Like, anytime she's not in the ring cutting a promo, we need to see that with
You
the
realize,
subtitles.
though-
It's way more intimidating.
That's one of WWE's biggest problems, in my opinion, though, is that when they have these international superstars, when they're heels, they let you speak your native language. But when you're a face, you have to speak English.
Yeah.
That bugs me. It bugs me to my core.
I bet it bugged Andrade. all the way
I
out
bet
the
it
door,
did too. But at the same time, it's like, you can't do that because that is just villainizing
Yeah.
their native language.
Come on,
Like,
now.
it's terrible to do. But I agree with you. Asuka looked fantastic last night.
But I mean, just going down
match.
what
but
we saw last night. I mean, I'll throw in the AJ Styles Dragon Lee match, the LA Knight
Yeah.
match, the
fell on its
Raquel
face,
match.
fell on its
I mean, they
face,
were
fell on
all
its face.
they were all snore fests.
Absolutely.
Come
And I mean,
on.
can we bury the El Grande thing finally? Are we done with this? Like, I couldn't even tell
man.
that was Tyler Bate,
Look.
and I don't even think that was
How did this happen?
Who was the other guy with him, though? Because that wasn't Tyler Bate.
Chad Gable got hurt. No. Somebody's ribbing somebody backstage. Somebody's setting somebody up for failure. Somebody owes somebody some contractual obligated
That's what I'm
money
saying.
or matches. And I don't know what's going on right now.
I think
look, y'all.
They're
y'all
just
can
trying to
come
keep
at me
the
in
character alive
comments
for
because
Chad.
Literally, if you guys are happy with the product you are seeing, something is really. Hey, check your tap water. I don't know. Get an air filter or something. I don't know what's going on, but literally, it's becoming worse and worse. The decline of every show leading into these PLEs and then stacking the card does not save it.
Right. And that's
It
what I'm
just
saying.
doesn't.
And that these mid-card matches are all falling flat on their face. And I'll tell you why the Damian Priest and Aleister Black thing didn't work. It's because of the same guy. They're the exact same guy. The dark, broody martial artist that loves to beat people up and doesn't take crap from anyone. That is Aleister.
Steven Seagal.
Exactly.
I mean, if anything, they should have teamed them up.
Exactly. They should be a tag.
man.
But
They
no,
would be
they put them
great in a
against each
faction
other.
together.
And I'm like, I just don't get it. I
And
don't
is it just
understand.
me that I'm bored out of my mind with the Usos and Braun? And it's just, I've seen it over and over. You can mix it up all you want. I would rather personally just see the Usos fight each other.
At this point, that's what we're going to get eventually. We're going to get Jimmy and Jay again, just from opposite sides of the pole.
A phrase that says too much of a good thing is bad for you. And that match, once or twice, spread out, was great because it had build, it had some interest to it, it had some intensity. But on rinse and repeat, right after we just seen it on a PLE with tables and all kind of stuff crashing in on each other, you run it back on Raw.
Well,
And you have Big Oos, OTC come in with the interference and this whole, we're going back to this bloodline manipulation story or vibe somewhat of Jay again. And it's very reminiscent, but it's too quick to play on the nostalgia unless they're going to swerve it somehow, which, they're probably cooking that up. And if it's a bloodline angle, I'm pretty sure they're overseeing it themselves for the most part with the help of, the Pauls and everybody else back there. But what's to say for every other match with a failing storyline on the roster? You can obviously see it doesn't get the same attention, care, or forethought about how it's going to be delivered. Let's put it out there. And then we end up with a whole bunch of crap.
and again, with this going into the next PLE at Crown Jewel, which is not this weekend, but next weekend on the 11th, if this one falls flat on its face, being the second PLE on ESPN programming, is WWE in trouble?
Big time. They got called out for the first one, so unless they grease some palms and sent some envelopes full of cash to these guys who are writing these very, very intricate and in-depth analysis about their matches and how they're doing just the booking in general, we get another bad review. I think there's call for a shakeup in creative, and that's not good. For Paul Levesque, that is. So I would have to say maybe all those rumors about The Rock and who he knows at Disney and ESPN, just storyline-wise speculation, actually had some validity. Maybe he spoke them into existence. Who knows? But one thing we do know is that a lot is riding on this next PLE. Viewership, build, storyline. It's this weekend, right?
No, next weekend. It's the 11th.
Next weekend, right? So we have one more week to build everything in this burger for these guys to bite into and actually say it had taste.
God, I hope you're wrong, because the last thing wrestling needs right now is a Disney writer to come in and start running things. Did we not see what happened to Star Wars? And everything else they've touched? Let's be honest.
It's the lesser of two evils. We work with what we have now.
No. The lesser of two evils would be staying with Paul
Or the
Levesque.
mouse comes in and puts white gloves on everything.
No.
All right?
Well, that leads right into one of our texts. It said, what the hell is going on? Or why is Bret Hart attacking Triple H as much as he has in the last 2 weeks?
Because Bret Hart is Bret Hart.
Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Or is there a behind the story?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
I mean,
you've missed the last 20 years
Yeah,
of how
no
Bret
kidding.
Hart feels about Triple H. If you go look that up, you'll see how he's never changed his stand on the guy.
no. Brett has always believed that that Paul or Hunter, whoever you want to call him, has had something to do with the Montreal screw job, because obviously him and Shawn Michaels are so close. But it's also Bret Hart. Bret Hart has been critical of literally everything the WWE does.
You see how that bird's flying? That bird's flying out of form.
And honestly, you know what's funny? They could give the belt to Natty, who's not literally related to him, but is probably the closest thing on the roster, and he'd still find reasons to complain about it. So I don't take a lot of what Bret has to say, at least, about the product to heart, because he's still salty. That's what the end of all of this really boils down to.
In his time, Bret was the guy.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Opinion worth gold. But as time goes on and your moment in the sun starts to, slide to the shade, you can't throw that on people. Now, you can talk about your feuds and all that other stuff, but time moves on without you. And when you're, a sage as Bret Hart is, your opinion is valid to an applicable degree.
But see,
we'll keep it like that.
When your opinion is nothing but negative things, though, that kind of gets rid of the
everything you've ever
the oomph
done.
of it.
You just sound like a bitter old man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like when it continues that way.
He's getting there, but he can still redeem himself. I don't know how.
At some point, I don't know exactly how you can do that, but
I don't think he was.
Experience to answer that question for you, but just go back and look at Bret Hart's opinion over the last 20 years of Triple H. It has not changed.
No, not at all. And then real quick, before we let you go in the last 2 minutes, did you end up watching the No Mercy PLE for NXT over the weekend? And how do you feel about our boy Ricky Saints getting the belt over Oba? Finally ending the ruler. Finally.
They could have put it on anybody, but Ricky was the right person. He waited out. He did a lot. He's been through a lot, nonetheless, to say that through AEW and how he came in with the name change. And I'm very excited for Ricky. Congratulations. But this means Oba is going to that main roster.
Oh, 100%. And there's rumor.
Let's hope
I'm sorry not to cut you off, but there's rumor that Chelsea Green is shopping down there in NXT for the new third member of her Secret Service, since Piper Niven is dealing with a neck injury that could potentially, from what I understand, be career-threatening.
Yeah.
And that sucks to say, because I love me some Dewdrop. She was fantastic.
There is a plethora of talent on the female roster in NXT right now that would literally skyrocket to the main roster in that position. And hopefully it's somebody that's well-deserving that we see. And if it's not, if it's a total newcomer, just maybe somebody from LFG. We don't know what's going on with that right now. But
I know exactly what's going on with LFG right now.
Wait,
I watched the episode last night. I know exactly where we're at.
Wait, before we even get into that, that's what I'm saying. We could see somebody just come in and literally be the next sensation in WWE's women's division. But nonetheless, hopefully they book Oba right. They keep what he's built in NXT, translating over to the main roster, and I think he'll be fine.
He's a presence. He's got to be okay.
I'm waiting to see him answer Sami Zayn's U.S. Open Challenge.
I could definitely
see that being the case. And we get a new U.S. champ overnight, man, It's entirely
possible. That's how they booked him in NXT, and to be honest with you, he's been a Gunther-like presence down there, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. Do you have any early predictions on who will be that Secret Service member, though? Is there anybody down there you're kind of looking at? Because personally, again, I'm going to harp on the fact we haven't seen Tony D in a while. We haven't seen, or I wouldn't be surprised if Ethan Page gets the nod because of their past work together already.
Definitely. I would hope it's Ethan Page just in, a male member in the group, because they're both Canadian. We seen them work NXT together with the live events. It was awesome. They got great charisma, and you love to hate a heel faction like that. You know what I mean? But if it's not Ethan Page,
any women on that list that you can look at? Because there are a couple down there that I think could get pulled up.
Well, they just called up Sol Ruka. I can see her tag team partner. What's her name?
Zarya.
Actually, she might fit that role because, really, we've seen people come from NXT to the main roster and their whole image changes.
Yes.
And she's got the build, the intensity, the athleticism, the look. Nonetheless, no matter how you package her.
She's got the foreign aspect to her, too.
Yeah, she could definitely be a force to be reckoned with, and someone who could give Chelsea problems in the future. Because, you love to have an internally built-in feud with a faction or a storyline, and it could blossom into something great.
It's got to be a big person to me, because both Chelsea and Alba Fire are more of scrappy, smaller wrestlers. Personally, if I could throw out one name,
powerhouse.
I think it's got to be Lash Legend.
Woo!
I think Lash
nice.
Legend would be a great one to add, although at first doesn't necessarily fit the build of what you have there, I realize, but she'd be a great giant for that group. She has really shined in her couple opportunities on the main roster, and she's probably on that short list.
Style?
Yeah, she's honestly on that short list of talent down there in NXT that I would not be surprised to see get called up here pretty soon. But
Good
my friend,
right
we've officially run out of time. I apologize, but we will talk to you next week. And
Yes, sir.
for those of you who are wondering, yes, we are in the works of getting these extra videos done so we could talk all things AEW and everything that we missed in these shows. Do you want to actually tell them the name of the show? Because, I mean, you're the one who came up with it, my guy.
We've decided to unveil the Bump That All Sports and Entertainment podcast for you guys that follow Early Bird, so you guys can stay in tune with what we do here at ESPN and everything else that is sports and entertainment.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's everything that gets bumped specifically out of this segment. So anything that we don't get to talk about in the world of WWE, AEW, NXT, TNA, hopefully we'll be able to cover all of it for all of you wrestling fans out there that want more content, because I know we don't get to talk about it enough on this show. And I mean, that's kind of how we started. We started with a football and wrestling pod, and that's how we're going to come back around. So it'll be out on our YouTube channel at the Early Bird Special here very, very soon. Look out for that. But until next week, my friend, thank you so much for your time. Once again, condolences to your family. I hope everything went well yesterday, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Peace out. You guys like and subscribe. Hit us up in the comments.
Thank you, my brother. We will take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield.